afternoon, Dunkirk and Fredonia listeners, and welcome back to News at Noon. News at Noon is brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems on WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. I'm News Director Lee Pye here today with my news assistants Dan Quagliana, Sara Lodespoto, Joshua Ribakove, as well as Hunter Halterman. With this top-of-the-hour update, we'll bring you the latest on SUNY Fredonia's campus news and events, weather, music, as well as national and international news. First up, let's go to the event bulletin for this week. The Career Development Office Graduate School Fair is happening. More than 60 institutions will be in attendance, representing hundreds of graduate programs, with Fredonia's own grad programs also featured. Related presentations will take place during the week of the event, including a grad school preparation program by Career Development and the Office of Graduate Studies, workshops by the UB School of Medicine and the UB College of Arts and Sciences. This event will be hosted on Tuesday, October 24th from 4 to 6 p.m. in the Williams Center MPR. The Brothers Grimm fairy tales come to life in the production Terror in the Trees, Twisted Fairy Tales, presented by Fredonia's Immersive Theater. Make your way to the Fredonia Woodlot on October 20th, 21st, 27th, or 28th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. for a horror-filled experience filled with creeps, scares, and fairy tales like you have never seen before. A reminder that this trail contains strobe lights, jump scares, loud noises, and will be held outdoors. That's it for the information through the grapevines. Next up, we'll bring it to Dan for our latest campus news updates.
Thanks, Lee. On October 20th to the 23rd, multiple campus departments, students, and other associated groups will be working together to host Fredonia's annual homecoming. This year marks the 60th anniversary of the Geology Department and the 20th anniversary of the 1970s Reunion Jazz Ensemble, among other things. The Jazz Ensemble specifically will be putting on a concert at 7 p.m. on the 20th. The Theater Department will be hosting productions of Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812 throughout the weekend as well. For current students, there will be a homecoming pep rally in the Steel Hall Fieldhouse on Friday at 7 p.m. Class reunions for the classes of 1973 and 1993 have been organized by alumni for Saturday. Finally, the Office of Residence Life is hosting a general reunion for all graduating years at 3 p.m. on Saturday in the Blue Lounge in the Williams Center. Two separate wellness workshops, one for faculty and one for students, will be hosted by, and I apologize if I pronounce this incorrectly, Dr. Meredith Hite Estevez, an oboist, creativity coach, podcaster, and recently published author of The Artist's Joy. The workshop for faculty, which is about managing burnout, will be held on Friday, October 27th at 3 p.m. in room 2140 in Mason Hall. Estevez will teach faculty to, quote, become more resilient to stress as they learn to rest, play, and wonder creatively, end quote. The student workshop, which is about staying joyful while studying or teaching what they love, will be held on October 28th at 4 p.m. in room 1080 in Mason Hall. Here, Estevez will invite students to, quote, name and claim their creative impulse, end quote. Both workshops are free and open to the public. Dr. Estevez will also be the featured guest artist for Oboe Day. Earlier this month, the College of Education, Health Sciences, and Human Services helped to host the kickoff conference for the Youth Activation Committee, or YAC. The YAC is an organization affiliated with the Special Olympics, whose goal is to promote unified sports in public schools. Every year, a public school district in Western New York is selected to host the kickoff event for the YAC, with this year being the Dunkirk City School District's turn. Dunkirk decided to take advantage of the college campus on their doorstep and co-host the event with the College of Education and various student-run clubs within it. Quote, there were 7 schools in attendance this year and over 100 students and student athletes, end quote, said Kennedy Neckers, the president of Fredonia's Council for Exceptional Children, a club that focuses on working with students with disabilities and strengthening young professionals that work with them. The summit included icebreaker activities for students to get to know each other as they arrived, as well as assorted breakout sessions, which students could choose based on their interests. Plans are in the works to make this summit an annual event in Fredonia. That's it for campus news. Now let's send it back to Lee.
Thanks, Dan. Next up, we have local news. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northern Chautauqua has a new minister, Rev. Ronald Skowronski. The 1/3-time contract minister for the remainder of 23 to 24 church year has been an ordained minister for the past 40 years. He's bounced around a few churches, such as the Morris Pratt Institute of the Spiritualist Church, the United Church of the Religious Science, the National Association of Spiritualist Churches, and founded the Religious and Science Church of Rochester, New York. Skoronsky will deliver one service each month to promote religion and practical health and growth. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northern Chautauqua strives to be very welcoming and accepting to the community. The church is located at 222 Temple Street, Fredonia, and for more information about the church, you can go to www.uucnc.org or call 716-679-7944. A new bill is prompted because of the rise in fentanyl dealers who are exposing the drugs to police officers. An incident in Jamestown last month happened where a woman was hiding drugs and an altercation happened with her and the police. During the altercation, the baggie of white powder popped and spread out into the air, having the officers ingest what was later tested to be positive for fentanyl. Senator Rob Rollison remarked that there was other officers that have been on duty and that were exposed to the drug. Rollison said, quote, "Fentanyl poses a serious safety risk to our first responders and correction officers, and the legislation increases penalties for those who carry fentanyl and recklessly expose a first responder or correction officer to the drug. This legislation establishes the offense of aggravated reckless endangerment which is a Class C felony and carries a sentence up to 15 years in prison," end quote. That's it for your local news update. Let's send it to Sara for the weather.
Now, here is your Northern Chautauqua weather update brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems.
Why take a shower when there's one outside? Starting the week with a high of 56, the rain will be pretty cold today, so maybe not the best weather to take an outside shower. Definitely not tonight, though, since it dips into the high 40s with similar rain and clouds. Wear a hood on your morning jog on Tuesday, since it will sprinkle. However, the rain will cease in the afternoon and clear the way for some sun. Twinning with today, tomorrow will also be a high of 56. That night, we'll have clear skies and be in the mid-40s. Don't worry, no full moon, so no werewolves will be out. That's it for your 2-day weather. Keep listening, and I'll be back with the rest of your 5-day forecast. For right now, let's take it back to Lee for our local music update.
This week, Last Call is hosting at BJ's. Bands like House and Home, Amphobia, which you're listening to, Quit Yourself, and Milo Dunn are playing at the 51 West Main Street location on October 19th. Doors are at 9 p.m. and music is at 10 p.m. That's all I have for music news this week. Let's bring it to Josh for national and international news.
Tensions continue to rise in Gaza as their stores of food, water, and supplies continue to diminish. As supplies run short, focus is turned to the Rafah closing between Gaza and Egypt, where trucks are waiting to provide aid. However, the crossing closed nearly a week ago after the airstrikes, and mediators are pressing for a ceasefire to let people leave Gaza and to let the trucks carrying aid in. Today, the Israeli military said that about 200 hostages were taken back in Gaza, but they did not specify if that number includes foreigners. The current life toll is estimated to be about 2,750 Palestinians killed and 1,400 Israelis killed, mostly civilians murdered in the October 7th assault. Many expect Israel to lead a ground offensive in the near future, but much of Hamas's military infrastructure is located in residential areas. Yesterday, the major U.S. pharmacy chain, Rite Aid, announced that it will be filing for bankruptcy and has received $3.45 billion in new financing. This is in response to falling sales and opioid-related lawsuits, which cost the company up to $30 million last year as settlement to lawsuits that allege pharmaceutical companies have contributed to the oversupply of prescription opioids. In a press release, Rite Aid stated, quote, Rite Aid intends to use the court-supervised process to finalize the agreement in principle, build additional consensus for the financial restructuring plan it contemplates, and implement it as quickly and efficiently as possible, end quote. As part of their restructuring plan, Rite Aid also appointed a new CEO, Jeffrey S. Stein, replacing the interim CEO, Elizabeth Burr. Before it was a streaming service, Netflix was a mail-order DVD rental service, and it was their streaming service that led to the shutdown of brick-and-mortar rental stores like Blockbuster. However, Netflix intends on opening up new stores called Netflix House. According to Netflix's Vice President of Consumer Products, Josh Simon, they plan on opening the first 2 locations in 2025 before expanding to the rest of the country. They've not yet announced what they will be selling at the locations, and it's not certain if DVDs or other physical TV or movie media will be available. But according to Simon, Netflix House is going to offer retail, dining, and live entertainment services that leverage their TV shows and movies. However, it's expected that they will be facing fierce competition from others who've been in the media market way longer, like Disney, who've been offering such services to support their intellectual property for years. That's all for your national and international news. Let's bring it back to Sara for the rest of our weather.
Cold weather and me mix as well as water and oil. So this week, expect to see me with a nice cup of tea in hand. Wednesday is partially sunny with a high of 62. I'm the type of person that sees the glass as half full, not half empty, so I'm optimistic it will be a nice day out. That night won't be too cloudy either, but will definitely be pretty windy in the cold 40s. The sun slowly hides among the clouds on Thursday in the high 60s. The strong winds will knock your socks off in a literal and a physical sense. The breeze brings in more clouds and a chilly cold of 54. With a high cloud cover on Friday, the 20th, expect lots of showers as the temperature rises to 62 degrees. Well, as fall goes, we should expect some rain at some point. The rain continues into the night in the low 50s. That's it for your 5-day forecast. Let's take it right back to Lee.
That'll wrap up for today's edition of News at Noon. Campus news is written and read by Dan Quagliana. Local news for this broadcast is prepared by Lee Pye. Weather is presented by Sara Lodespoto. Music is prepared by Lee Pye. National and international news is prepared by Joshua Ribakove. And finally, board operations for this broadcast are performed by Hunter Halterman. Thanks for tuning in to News at Noon. Join us every Monday and Wednesday at 12 p.m. on WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. From all of us at Fredonia Radio Systems, have a wonderful day.